we spend all these hours getting stuck into distractions, like someone cutting you off in traffic or something someone said at work. Those little things, they really don't deserve our attention or enough of our sweat. You have to literally kind of live in this delusional world where you only focus on what you want being real. It was my move-in day on my 22nd birthday, and I remember in the morning, I'm kind of getting emotional because it's like reminding me of like how far I've come. Hi, we are reporting live from a new angle. I'm on my couch trying something different here, and we have my sidekick to keep me company. A year ago, I made a video about 10 things that I've learned about the law of attraction since it was introduced to me like 10 years ago. When I was 16 and I first heard of The Secret, that was when I first heard of the law of attraction. And ever since then, I was fascinated, and it was always something that lingered in the back of my mind about how reality works. So through that journey, I have learned quite a few things. I would say that video is still very much valid. I would check it out if you're interested down below. I was a little rusty, but again, valid points. Somewhere down the line, I had mentioned something about sharing my manifestation stories, and someone did ask for some examples. I don't know if you're still watching, it's been a year, but in the name of being consistent here on YouTube, I thought, why not share some of my pretty cool manifestation stories, times where I deliberately set out to see something in my reality and there so followed. Hi, it's future me. You should know I saved the most powerful and the best story for last, so stick around if you want all the golden nuggets and little manifestation tips I give you. Please share with me a manifestation story that you think is so cool or that sticks out to you the most, or that you're super proud of. I would love to hear. So share for share. I'm sharing some, you share some. Like, let's have a party in the comment section. See you at the end. As I was brainstorming for this video, I realized I've manifested some pretty cool things. It's definitely some correlation with how much you believe you can have it and how quickly things come. Like, if it's something small that you don't really care about, like a coffee drink or a parking spot, there is less attachments, there's less limiting beliefs, there's less fears, there's less gunk to go through, so it's just pretty easy for it to appear. Someone that made this pretty evident was Andrea Schultz. She makes great content on manifesting money, so if that's something that interests you, I would check her out as well. I'll leave that down below. But she had a fun little exercise where you could try to manifest either a rubber ducky or a drum. She said visualize it, and so I did. I visualized a drum, specifically like a bongo African drum looking thing. I kind of let it go and I forgot about it, and I had a flight to catch the next day. So I'm on the airplane and I'm looking through different movies and I'm like stuck between two. I end up going for Love Jones, which is like a nostalgic kind of, I was gonna say R&B movie, but like, yes, like that 90s black film, love film. Love Jones beginning scene has a poetry session and someone's on a bongo drum. So I immediately remembered that I had done that exercise. I was blown and shocked and like blown away about how quickly it appeared within 24 hours, less than. So I doubled that down. I then envisioned the rubber ducky. I go to this cool art gallery. I'm kind of looking around at cool things, and there is like a dresser, and I open up the drawers and I see various art and like little drawstring, like velvet drawstring. I'm like, oh, what is that? And I open it up and there's a little blue rubber ducky. It's like a little sculpture. At this point, I am flabbergasted because I have not just visualized and brought up one but two things in the less than 24 hours by just thinking about it and literally forgetting about it and seeing it in my reality. So you couldn't tell me shit after that. It just really floors your confidence. So if you haven't tried something like that, I would highly suggest doing that, just so that you can really get a real life demonstration, like real life proof of how reality works and how your mind is literally like a force to be reckoned with. Sometimes just doing something small like that that doesn't really mean much to you is all it takes to show you that. Another way that this manifests, or that I've done or seen something like this happen before even trying the exercise in that video, is kind of like when you're just asking God for a sign. You're like, hey God, just give me a sign. In prayer once, I don't remember exactly what I was praying for, and I asked God, please show me a ladybug. And behold, that day I had saw a ladybug, and it was in the most beautiful way that just literally made me stop in traffic, because it was like right on my windshield, right in front of me on the outside of my car, just hanging out on my car while I was driving. And I'm like, what is that? And I look closer and it's a freaking ladybug. I was just so stunned. I literally had to stop in traffic and just take that in. It just feels so loving, so gracious, so like compassionate when you're noticed by God. That to me is something I would highly recommend as a way just to tap in or ask for signs or kind of have a communication with God, because God is talking back to us all the time. It's just not always verbally or auditory. It doesn't have to always be in the way that we speak, but there's little nudges or like winks that we get. I joke and say that I never have to look for parking. I just don't make it an issue. I don't stress about parking, and I always find parking. It doesn't matter if I'm downtown in the busiest of cities. Parking is just something that I don't worry about anymore. I always affirm that I always find parking. When I find a good parking spot or I find quick parking, I'm like, oh, I always find parking. Parking is easy. And let me add free parking. Like, I pride myself in not paying for parking, and if I do, it's like a really, really small amount in my yearly expenses. I really don't worry about parking. I don't pay for parking. I literally lived at a building once where you had to pay like $140 for parking. I didn't pay, and I always got parking. The valet guy had a crush on me or something, and literally I just always got parking, and I was set. If I can get through that and always get parking, I am just so confident in my skills to get parking. Like, I don't worry about it anymore, and it's that simple. Another pretty small manifestation that I did around this time where I was watching Andrea Schulz, which I should probably be watching her again because she really made manifestation fun for me. She really reminded me of the magic that we have. I was buying a new television, and I bought it at Costco, and I was like, started to worry about, okay, how am I gonna get this upstairs? Because at the time I lived on the second level of an apartment complex stairs, like a garden style apartment complex. And so I'm buying this TV in the back of my head, knowing I have no way to get it upstairs. I didn't really have anyone to ask for help, and I knew that I wanted to get the TV upstairs at least before nightfall, so I didn't have to leave a big ass TV in the back of my car overnight. I'm like, whatever, like, I'm not gonna worry about it. When it comes time, I will figure out how. Like, I'm just gonna get the TV up. The associate helps me out with the TV, loads it into my car, and I'm on my way home, and I remember that I don't have a way to get this TV up, and I'm like, oh, how am I gonna get this TV up? And I'm like, you know what, whatever, I'm not gonna worry about it. That TV is gonna find its way upstairs, okay? I get home and I still don't have any way to get my TV upstairs. And so I'm like, you know what, it's okay, I'll be back down in a little bit. I have to do something anyway, so I'll figure it out then. So I go upstairs and I kind of forget about it. I'm like, okay, whatever. I think I went downstairs to get like my my phone charger or something, like within the next 30 minutes. I see a car of like four men hanging out outside of a truck. Oh, light bulb, like, here is my opportunity. And so I asked them, and I'm like, hey, like, can I get your help for something, please? They speak Spanish, so I'm like, oh crap. So I like point over to my car, and I'm like, can you help me with this? Can you like help me lift it up? And two of the guys take the TV, walk it up the stairs, walk it into my apartment, and leave. And I'm just like, oh shit. And it hits me like after, like, wow, I really did get this thing up in a timely fashion. Like, how convenient, how perfect did that work out? I literally did not have to touch the TV from the time I purchased it to the time it got home. Like, I didn't do anything. All of this talk even just gets me excited. There's just like no point in stressing or sweating the small things, like trying to have control over everything and figure out how things are gonna work or have this perfect plan. Like, sometimes literally just having faith and not worrying about the small stuff is what resolves those issues. We spend all these hours getting stuck into distractions, like someone cutting you off in traffic or something someone said at work. Like those little things, they really don't deserve our attention or enough of our sweat. The way I think about it is I have real life problems. I have real big things, actual big things that I'm trying to overcome, that I'm enduring in this journey here. Why would I sweat the small stuff? And I think that's the beautiful thing about, oh, how easy it is to manifest things that you don't really care about, because it's a nice break to detach from little things. No, don't get me wrong, there are little triggers that I have or things that to other people might look like small things that are still big deal to me. Everybody is that way, but those little things that I don't have to have anxiety about or worry about or like have lit free in my mind, I just don't worry about those things. So I would say that's enough for the small manifestations. Bigger things that I've manifested are like jobs. I'm pretty good at manifesting apartments. I'm pretty good at manifesting money. And those are a little bit more complex. They're not just a 24-hour turnaround or something that you can just kind of think about and it magically poofs up. Those takes a little bit more repetition. You have to literally kind of live in this delusional world where you only focus on what you want being real. Actually, I would say you don't even have to not worry about it, because I've manifested things in fear or like worry or not believing that I can have it. I believe that if God has something reserved for you, then it is you. If it's meant to be for you, then it is for you. But you can just make things move a lot quicker and a lot smoother by not covering it with fears and worries and doubts. Things come a lot easier without obstacles when you're not having mixed emotions. I'm back, like I never left. Sorry, my camera died. If the lighting looks different, it's a different time. The sun is down, but listen, the show must go on and I'll continue with my message. So we're diving right into more challenging things that I have manifested, whether it be a job, a home, money, whatever the case may be. My first one is gonna be my first apartment. That was probably the first big manifestation that I've had. I was shaking, I was quivering, I was scared. I did not know what to expect. I definitely, with it being like the first time, I definitely was not confident with that manifestation, but guess what? God came through anyway. I had just moved to Texas. I had been in Texas for about 6 months and I was eager to get out on my own. So I had lived in this roommate situation and it was not an ideal situation, but I was so grateful for it because it was my own space and was my own peace. It felt like my first step to my independence, and I was proud to have been in that situation with just 6 months of moving, because I didn't know how long that would take, if it would take me a year to actualize that or more. Again, not the ideal situation. I had a roommate in a 1-bedroom and she occupied her bedroom and I occupied the living room. So yes, the living room was my bedroom. We shared a bathroom and a kitchen, and long story short, it did not pan out as planned. There was a lot of T's I did not cross and I's I didn't dot, with me being pretty naive and not experienced in that kind of stuff. And things blew up and we didn't really stick to our plan. It was supposed to be like a 6-month situation and it got cut short down to more like 3 months. Push came to shove. I was scrambling trying to find a home prematurely with a savings account that wasn't equipped. I just was not ready. I was not ready. I wanted my own place, but it just didn't seem like anything feasible, but it was just kind of like I was being pushed out and I had no choice. So I kind of started the manifestation process before I even realized I needed to. Before there was any idea that I would be moving sooner than later, I was always venturing into the community next door. I really liked it and I found a floor plan there that I really liked and I had my eyes set on. And I even visited maybe more than once, showing other friends, because I wanted it. I wanted it to be my own apartment. So from the beginning, I had set my eye on that place. Things didn't work out with my roommate to the point where there was a lot of hostility, a lot of passive aggressiveness. She would lock the doors on me. And so I moved all of my stuff where I stayed on a friend's couch for 2 weeks, and that 2 weeks was terrifying for me. I was petrified of ending up homeless because it was just not an option to go back home for me. And I also did not have a very solid foundation to get my own place. I barely had the income. I would be surprised if I had like $600 in my bank account at that time. I didn't even have an ID, guys. I didn't even have an ID. I lost an ID. So as unprepared as I could possibly be, I was. All odds were against me with this apartment search. It was one of my scariest moments in life. Definitely character development, but I was out here on my own, y'all, and it was sink or swim. So I had shot my shot and I had applied for an apartment at the community next door. And again, no ID. I don't even know how I'm gonna come up with the funds quite yet. I don't know if I will qualify as a first-time renter. I don't know if my credit score will get me in the door. Literally my first time doing all of this big girl stuff. I put in my application and a week goes by and I'm still waiting. I'm still twiddling my thumbs and it's really not looking like it's gonna happen. I'm still sleeping on my dear friend's couch, and as nice as that is, it's uncomfortable for everyone involved, you know. It's not a situation I want to put myself or someone else in, though I'm so grateful for her help at that time. So they get back to me and they're like, okay, we need an ID for verification. And I'm like, well, I don't have an ID right now. I've lost it. So my heart sinks because I'm like, I don't know how serious or how black and white this is. And again, I imagine that an ID is a pretty crucial part of getting approved from an apartment. Well, thankfully, they emailed me back in a day or two and she's like, okay, you've been here, we've seen you, we've toured you over the last couple of months, so don't worry about the ID. She's like, you can just send me a photo of your ID. So of course, in the database in my photos, I do have a photo of my ID. So I'm so elated about that. I sent that over and news is I'm approved. And I just remember getting that news. I was at my computer desk and I was so grateful. I was so shocked. I had never doubted myself so much and actually got something. It actually felt like a win. I was excited, but then I was faced with the other obstacle because they're telling me I have to pay like $1,100 or $1,000 or something. Whatever it was, I did not have it, y'all. I did not have it. I did not have it in my bank account. I wish I kind of documented these kind of things so I could see how far I come, but I would not be surprised if I've had like $400 in my bank account and I have to pay them something. I had a higher deposit because I was a first-time renter and I had to pay my prorated rate and all of this stuff. I'm excited by the news of my approval, but then I'm like, oh snap, how am I gonna come up with the money? And I remember, I will never forget, because my move-in date was set to be my 22nd birthday. So it was my move-in date on my 22nd birthday, and I remember in the morning, I'm kind of getting emotional because it's like reminding me of like how far I've come. I'm not going to cry on camera. I'm not gonna do that. Well, it would be my first time. I'm scrambling to get like all the money together. I had to ask to borrow money from some people and I ended up coming up with just enough, and I get the cashier's check and I'm feeling so many emotions going to this leasing office because it was my birthday and I was doing this accomplishment, and I thankfully did not have to be homeless. It really felt like the full energy. Like I just felt like it was new beginnings, wide horizon up ahead, and just like endless possibilities. But I was like, literally, it felt like at square one, and that was just like kind of the beginning of me building the life that I have now as I know it. That was huge for me, but I felt so alone. I was excited that this was like a birthday gift to me, but I also had no one to celebrate with. So it was like I was overcoming one obstacle to face another. And I remember I got the keys and I went into the apartment, and it was like this weird feeling, like it was hopeful, but I also had this deep sadness and this deep loneliness of just like no one really there for me. I remember I didn't have much. I didn't have any furniture. I just had a suitcase of my clothes. And that night I made a bed for myself on the carpet in my bedroom with my clothes just laid out. I basically cried myself to sleep on my 22nd birthday. It was a bittersweet happening. For me, that will always live in my head as a memory of like, God has got you. Things always end up working out how they're supposed to. It doesn't matter how much you stress or don't believe in yourself. Sometimes you don't even need to believe in yourself and you're still receiving blessings. Though that was a hard time, it was excruciating, I did get my goal much sooner than I thought, and a lot of growth and a lot of discovery and a lot of healing started to happen and happened in that home. And that was really the stepping and the building blocks to the future and the life that I know now. And it's just amazing to look back, honestly, at everything that, all the growth and development that's happened between now and then. I've experienced so much, but that very moment was necessary, you know. So that would be a big manifestation. I have so many other apartment manifestations, job manifestations, money manifestations, whether it's $5,000, whether I'm manifested making more money, I have more extra $2,500 a month. I can get into all of that, but we would be going on for days and days and days. So please let me know down below if you like these stories. Let me know whatever manifestation stories you have, and definitely let me know if you want to hear more. I am an open book and I'm happy to share as many manifestations with you, because I mean, it's kind of something therapeutic about me sitting here and thinking back about all the things that I have been through or achieved or accomplished or brought into fruition. So I would love to hear some of y'all's stories, and thank you so much for watching, and you'll see me very, very, very soon.